Welcome to Scratch Day 3. Yesterday, you did your apple catching game, which involved your arrow keys, you learned how to use variables, and different things like that. Today, we're actually going to be making a Pong game, like I said on our first day. So, our Pong game involves a paddle and a ball bouncing off the paddle. It's classic Pong. Use your arrow keys to move the paddle, and then the ball bounces off. Um, so here's a picture of it. There's also a scoreboard. Yes, we're gonna post a recording in case you need it. Um, but we're gonna have a scoreboard. We used yesterday for our apple catch, and we're gonna have our ball bouncing around the map. And today we're actually gonna have 3 sprites, and we're gonna have a bit more code. Today is gonna be a bit more challenging than previously, but that is okay because we'll be able to explain all of it, and hopefully you'll all be able to get it. So we have all our blocks that we're going to be using. You can always contact us. We have our emails on the previous slide, and here's an example of our game. So when the ball touches the red line at the bottom, you lose, and it also switches it to a screen that says that. So that is how this game works. Now, you guys are going to be put into breakout rooms like always, and you can just wait a few minutes. And those of you who get the invitation can go, and those of you who don't are staying in the main room with me. Yesterday's homework was, I believe, to increase the speed. Now, my group already figured this out, but in case you didn't know, all you have to do was increase the amount of steps that it was going at. So when arrow key pressed, instead of 10 steps, you could do 20, 30, and that would increase the speed. Now, my group, I also gave them a riddle yesterday. That was actually how to let the apple spin while it's falling. And I'll pull that up right now. So let me go to projects. Okay, I'll share my screen. So here it is right now. This is what my group did. So we have our apple, and all you had to do was drag this turn 15 degrees under the forever. And now the apple would turn as it's falling, which makes the game a bit more realistic. So that was just a simple change you could have made. So that was how to solve the puzzle. We'll stop sharing, and the breakout room invitation should be arriving, so you can go if you've got one.
What will it say? Like, do you have to go to the chat? Oh no, never mind. Then now I can see it.
Okay, so this will be our group in the main room. We have a bit of a smaller group because some people didn't arrive today, but that is completely okay. So why don't you guys pull up a new project on Scratch like we always do and open your editor. I'll go ahead and share my screen. So you're gonna come over here. Wait, Sid, are you? I don't think your headphones are like connected.
I think your dad accidentally put me in Devonch's room.
Oh. Okay, we can all restart now. So open your Scratch editor. Open to a new project and have this screen open. You guys can put it in the chat when you're done or give me a thumbs up. Okay. So what we're gonna do first is add all of our sprites. So we're gonna first trash our sprite one, which is our cat. We're gonna click the garbage can and add our first sprite. Now our first sprite is going to be our ball. So it should appear over here. You're gonna click it and your yellow ball is going to appear on your screen. Next, we're gonna have our paddle. We're gonna search a paddle over here and we should have a green paddle that pops up. You should probably drag it down somewhere near the bottom, but don't like put it right here. You'll see why in a moment. Now, for our last sprite, you're gonna actually add a line. And it should be a large red line. You're gonna put that in, and you're gonna drag this right at the bottom. And put the paddle about just a few steps above it. Now, before we code, we're actually gonna make our paddle a bit bigger. So we're gonna click on our paddle, make sure you're not clicking on the ball, click on your paddle, and go to your costumes. Our paddle is here, highlight the entire thing, left click and go around the entire thing, and make your paddle bigger. Make it actually small. Okay, this is how big I want my paddle to be. You guys don't have to do this, but I want my paddle to be a bit bigger so I can demonstrate. So now I'm going to go back to my code. I'm going to make this a bit smaller. It's a bit too big. Okay, this is perfect. So now we're going to go to our code. We're first going to start off with the ball. Now, this is where the majority of our code goes. This is where the meat of it goes. So first, we're going to drag our when flag clip. This is our main block. And like yesterday, we're going to actually incorporate a score. That's going to be the first thing under here. We're going to go to our variables like yesterday. We're going to make a variable And we're gonna name title it score. Make sure the S is capital or else Scratch will not register. Once you've made your score variable, it should appear here, score. You're gonna say set my variable, change the my variable to score. Set it to 0. Just keep it set to 0. I'll give everyone about 10 seconds to do that. So remember, just set and then change it to score, put 0. Okay. After this, we're actually going to be putting something from the motion section. We're gonna put a set y2. We're gonna say set y2. I'm actually gonna put the ball somewhere up here. So make sure to stop the program so you can drag your ball. And we're actually gonna put it at about 180, like yesterday. I don't know if your other mentors told you, but the top is about 180. That's about as far as you can bring it up. So we're gonna set that to 180. Now I recommend running your program constantly so that you make sure there are no bugs. So when we click this, our ball should always stay at the top. It shouldn't be anywhere else. Even if we drag it down here, when you click it, it should go right back to the top. Make sure that is working. And also make sure your score appears over here. Now we're going to actually have a forever block right under the set. And we're going to say we want it to forever move 20 steps around the board. Moving 10 steps will be a bit slow, so we're actually going to make this 20. You can keep it 10 if you want. You can make it faster. You can make it 30. But I recommend keeping it at 20. Next, we're going to use a new block that we haven't used before. And this is if on edge bounce. The Scratch knows where the edges of the board are. If we put this in, if on edge bounce, it should be near the bottom of the motion section. We drag it under here. It's constantly moving 20 blocks and it is bouncing whenever it is on the edge. Scratch is designed this specifically for games like Pong to make it easier to bounce. Now it might seem like right now it's going in the same direction, and for that is okay. That will be changed when we'll be able to hit it with our paddle. But we've basically established the ball moving around the screen. Make sure this is working for you guys, and now we're gonna put in an if statement. And we're gonna say if it's touching the paddle. Now remember, yesterday we also used a sensing block. We're gonna say if touching the paddle. Remember, go here and change it to paddle. Second. If touching the paddle, then we want it to, bounce off the paddle. So we want it to say, so now this is where it gets a bit tricky. Even I have to look over the code. Make sure. Yeah. Okay, the first thing you're gonna do when we touch our paddle, we want our ball to touch it and then we want the score to increase. That's how our score system will work. So we're gonna go back to our variables and we're gonna say change. We're gonna drag that right under here. Change score, go under here, change score by 1. Now you can put this in whatever you want. You can say 10, 20, whatever you feel is correct, but I'm going to keep it 1 right now. So my ball right now, when it touches this paddle, the score is actually increasing, but it's increasing very drastically, and that will be changed when we have it bounce off of it. Next, we're gonna add our sound. So we're gonna go to our sound section like we did yesterday. We're gonna say play sound pop. Until that, actually don't say that, just say start sound pop. You don't need to do until done. Now, if our ball touches the paddle, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my volume is making that sound. Okay, right there. After this, we are going to, now this is where the complicated part comes in. We have to bring out a turn block. Okay, so this can be any direction, and you'll see why in a moment. So you're gonna bring out a turn block, and it might seem a bit like bland because the ball is only going to turn in the same direction, which is very annoying, and the game is boring. But this is how we're going to change it. We're going to go to our operators. I believe we used this yesterday. Yes, we did. We're going to say pick random. And this is very important in this game. We're going to drag it right into this circle. Drag the We're going to drag the pick random. For people that are joining, you can quickly follow along and add the code as I'm explaining. So you're going to put the pick random inside here. And instead of 1 to 10, we're going to put this on a bigger scale so that it can turn to a random position when it touches the paddle. We're actually going to put, let me see, 150 and 190. So I've tested this a lot. And between 150 and 190 seems to work really well. So as you can see, it's bouncing off the paddle once it touches it. And it's also playing the sound pop only once. The score is also increasing only one time because immediately as it touches the paddle, it just bounces off and to a random location. So we have the base of our ball done, but we still have to add one more block under this. We have to have move 20 steps, or else the game could glitch. It doesn't usually glitch, but sometimes it will, and your game will crash. Just have the move 20 steps incorporated. Okay. So now we can put this to the side, and now we're going to start a new line of code. Now this is going to be when it touches the red line, we want it to change to a U lose. So we have our line here. Our line isn't actually going to have any code, but our ball will have code that corresponds with the line. So let me show you what I mean. You're going to drag your when clip starting block, and you're going to say switch backdrop. We want it to always be. Oh, in fact, we forgot to add a backdrop. Go ahead and actually choose a backdrop. Right? You can choose whatever backdrop you want. I choose this Desert. Actually, make sure to choose a backdrop that goes well with your ball. The ball is yellow, so it doesn't go well. I'll change. I will change mine to something invisible. I will do the gap. This works well. So what I just did, I just deleted my old backdrop that I didn't want. So you can go ahead and choose a backdrop that you want, then we can continue. So what we're actually going to do is have our switch backdrop ready. So once the ball touches this red line, it means we've lost the game. And we want it to change to something like use, like I have in my other example one. So we're actually going to be going to our costumes. So 1 second. We're going to go to our costumes tab over here. Remember, it's the costumes of the ball. Well, no, actually, no. You're going to click on your backdrop. Remember, you shouldn't be touching the ball actually, or any of these sprites. You're going to be touching the backdrop. Make sure this is clicked. Then you're going to go to the backdrop tab over here. And we're actually going to go ahead right now it's our backdrop that we want to play on, but we don't want to edit this because this is the one that we'll be playing on. We have our original backdrop that's completely white. If you guys don't have it, you can just add it. You can add a backdrop and you can say, pretty sure it's blank. You can change it to something very plain so that you can write text there. You're just going to add a backdrop. Then you're going to click on the one that's blank. You're going to add a text box. You're going to select this. You're going to select this T, this text box tool. You're going to click, and then you're going to say you lose. Now my font is green right now. You can change your font to whatever color you want by going up here and clicking your color. I'll change it to and what you're going to want to do is enlarge this right now. Make it as big as you can so that it fits here. And try to center it. We have this. Now, what we essentially want to do, remember to click your ball again, and remember to click the code tab. What we want to do is have it playing on the galaxy, but when it touches the red line, we want it to switch to our blues. So this is how we're going to do that. We're going to say switch backdrop to galaxy when we click this. So every time we re-click our game, it's at the galaxy. Next, we want to say if, so we're going to go to our control section. First, we're going to actually drag it forever. Under that, we're going to drag an if block. We're going to go to our sensing tab, and we're going to say if it's touching, just like here, instead of touching the paddle, we're going to say if it's touching the line. But this is why we have the line. If it's touching the line, we want it to switch our backdrop. If touching the line, switch backdrop. We're going to say to backdrop 1. Now, if we do this, as soon as it touches the line, our game has stopped. It hasn't stopped, it keeps going, but it switched to our backdrop. Now we're going to incorporate. Now we're going to actually have a different sound when we touch our red line to make it more interesting. Now, you probably have played around with this sound section, but if not, you're going to click on the sound section and you're going to add a sound. You're going to choose a sound like we do for our backdrops and everything. We're going to try to get a loose sound. Let's see if there is one. Yes, there is a loose sound. You're going to get a loose sound. Okay, so here is the loose sound we're going to be using. We're going to go back to our code. We're going to actually have a new string of code. We're going to say when clicked. We're going to go to forever. If touching the line, then we want it to make this sound. We're going to go to our sound tab and say play sound lose until done. So this might be allowed to ingest all of this code. What I want you to do is just catch up on anything you might not have gotten. Ask me any questions right now that you might have. Show me your program, show me your code, any bugs, and I will mute myself. But here's the code working so far. As soon as it touches this line, it plays this sound. Now you can go ahead and ask me any questions you have, any bugs that you might have, share your screen in case it's not working. I'll give you until 7:02. does anyone actually need time to catch up or can we move on?
I need
Because
to
if you
catch
need
up.
to, it's perfect. Okay, go ahead. That's fine.
Could you actually repeat how to input the sound?
The sound for the line, like it's
For the who sound, yeah.
um okay. So you're gonna have your when clicked block, right? Then you're gonna have your forever loop right under that. You're gonna say if it's touching the line, right? Like similar to up here, if it's touching the line, and play sound loops. Now this is how you're gonna add it in case you didn't get that. You're gonna go to your sounds tab. It's next to the costumes and code. You're gonna click add, choose a sound in the bottom left over here. You're gonna type in lose, and it should come up. And you can add that sound.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. And then you're just gonna go into your code and play sound. Just let me know when you guys are done catching up. Okay. Yes, I'm monitoring the chat, so we're actually gonna, yes, we're gonna code the paddle to move, but it's actually gonna be a bit different. Instead of using our arrow keys, we're actually gonna be using our mouse just so that you can learn something new and it's not repetitive. We're actually gonna be using our mouse and it follows our mouse. Vishnu, do you still need time?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Does anyone else need more time? Because otherwise then we can move on. Okay, I think we are good to go. Now I'm just gonna take some time to re-explain everything. So we have our one clicked and everything. We have to set our score to 0 before each one so that our score resets like over here. Because we don't want to keep our previous score. We want our ball to start up here. We don't want it to start at the bottom so that we immediately lose. We want it to always move 20 steps and bounce around the edge, like so over here. We want it to, if it touches the paddle, we want to change the score. We want to play the sound, and we want to turn and send it back up. So that is most of the ball code. This is most of the backdrop, but we want to start with the galaxy. If it touches the line, we want it to change it to U. Then we have our sound for the U, and if it touches the line, then we want to play that sound so that it just adds interest into it. Does anyone have any questions? Or we can. Okay. Now we're gonna go on to our paddle code. Now this is way more simple than our ball code. We're actually gonna have our one flipped block over here. We're gonna have then we're gonna have a forever loop. And this is a new block you guys haven't learned. You're gonna say set mouse X. Now, this is in I believe it's in the motion section, set X2. It's set, first drag the set X2. After that, you're gonna go to your sensing and you're gonna drag the mouse X right inside there. And when we run this, our game should be working. Okay. There are some bugs. Our game, let's see. So as we're getting 2 points when we do this. Now, if we make the speed quicker, that will be changed because the points are pretty inconsistent. Like sometimes it gives us 1, other times it gives us 2. But for the most part, it should be okay. If you want to make the game harder, you go into the ball code and you make it like 35 steps. And then it becomes pretty hard. So I don't know if you guys can see. We can still play our game right now. And now this is a pretty huge error. So we're actually gonna be learning a new block today, and it's gonna be called stop all. What it does, it just completely stops our entire program. We're gonna go to when clicked. We're gonna drag our if block forever. And we're gonna drag our if block. Okay, actually scratch that. This guy should be in the ball code. You can click Control X. Control X everything and paste it in the ball. Now this might be running out of space, but you just have to scroll. You can Control V it. It should be there. It was a small chunk of code. You guys can just go to the when clicked forever if touching the line. So remember, you're sensing, this is how we do this always. If touching the line, you want to stop all. This is our new block. Stop all. But when that happens, like our sound doesn't play. So this is where we learn, this is a point of. So instead of doing this, you might be wondering, why isn't it doing that? Does anyone know why? Why our sound isn't playing?
Because the sound is part of the program, so
Yeah,
it wouldn't play.
yeah, and then our entire program is being stopped. So instead of doing that, we can actually put the stop all right under this loose sound. And if it touches the line, so there's still actually a bug. Our program continues to run until the sound is over. Now this could be a problem for our code because we want the game to not do that. So we could, okay, this is how we could fix that. Instead of putting it after the sound, we could drag this out, put it under the backdrop. And it should, then it doesn't allow us to play anymore. After we put this into the backdrop, it doesn't allow us to play. Now, again, I just have to do some trial and error with this. This isn't exactly something that can be definite, but you can try, this is for any program, And if you have a sound running and the stop all, try putting the stop all somewhere else besides the sound and don't put it in its own thing, or else it won't even play the sound. So you guys can do that. And then the sound should play as soon as the ball. So that is essentially our game done. Now, because we have time, we can actually improve this game. Just like yesterday, we can add arrow keys. So we can say when clicked, let me make this a bit bigger. When clicked forever, if it is, now this is not mandatory, you don't have to do this, you can enjoy your game from here. But forever, if it is touching, not touching, if the right arrow key is pressed, we want it to move 20 steps. And then you do the same thing for the left. You go to our control. If the left arrow key is pressed, then we want to move 20 steps as well. And actually make this -20, or else it'll still go to the right. So now if we do this, one sec, let me lower the volume sound because that can get a bit annoying. Maybe it's, yeah, it's over here. Made it a bit softer because, you know, it was becoming a bit annoying. But now we should be able to control. Okay, so here's why this isn't working. Okay, I didn't know this either. Now, our paddle is always pointing towards our ball. So like when we click here, the game starts. The paddle just by default goes over here because it wants to be right on it. Even if we click with our arrows, it's still gonna go back here. So that's why that won't work. So if you don't want to use your mouse and you want to use arrows instead, you can remove the code for the mouse. If you want to use your mouse, you can keep the arrows. I prefer having the arrows, but I'll leave them both up here for you guys to copy whichever one you want. You can only have one right now. Copy whichever one you want, and once you guys are done, our game is essentially done. You can add whatever graphics you want. You can change the color of your ball. Going to the costumes, you can make it blue, pink, green. I'll make mine blue. You can change your background, but if for which code do you guys need up most? Because I'm pretty sure we're all done with the ball. I'll put up the paddle. Remember, you can only have one of these, either following your mouse or the arrow keys. So you guys can ask any questions and copy down any remaining code.
Can you go to the ball code?
Yeah, sure.
I have a question.
Yes.
Like when it goes to the game over screen, is there any way we can make it so that it like shows the square?
when you wait, repeat your question?
Yeah, like, is there any way that we can make the score get bigger?
On the when your game ends, you want your scoreboard to be bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we can. Right.
I got just a little late because we went somewhere. So what are we doing?
We just finished coding uh our um Pong game. So I'm currently on the ball code. You can copy this down. If you want me to re-explain it, I can. And you can find the other code on the slides. But right now, some people need the
Okay.
ball code up.
Yeah, you can do it.
He was
I'll just
asking
look at the
about making the
slides.
score
It's
bigger.
fine.
So for the score to be bigger, let's see. I don't think it's actually.
Actually, I know how to make it bigger. What you need to do is you need to click on it and then it'll just say like, yeah.
And do large readout.
Yeah, now you can make it bigger or smaller. It depends on your choice.
Let me go to my costumes, maybe. Yeah, this is about where you can get. You can either have it your normal, like this, or you can right click it and have your large, just like yeah, at least this code.
And I have just one question about yesterday's.
Yeah,
Yeah, for yesterday's homework, you said you can need to do the homework. What is it again? I just couldn't remember.
okay, so what I wanted you to do was make the apple turn while it's falling. Um, how about this? Send you,
Yeah, can you just share it if again, please?
are you in the classroom or are you in the WhatsApp group? Do you know?
I joined in the classroom.
Okay. In that case, I can quickly show you right now what I did. I'll go to so this was my code from yesterday, and this is what I changed. I'll show. So um, this is the Apple code. Let me make it bigger for you. This was the Apple code. All we had to do was put turn 15 degrees right in the parameter. And now the apple turns as it's falling.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
Welcome. Now I'll go back to I'll leave this up at 7:23. I'll bring up something else. One second, guys. I'll be right back. I have to stop sharing for a second. Okay, I am back. Guys, I just need to go into um my other mentors' breakout rooms. I need to tell them something. So remember, just stay here. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. You guys, you can play with the game for the last minute. Then everyone will be back in the main room. You can tell me your high scores, by the way, if anybody got any. Um, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll see who got the highest score. And I know a lot of you are still working, so that is okay. Everything is on the slides.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Is it the line thing that we need? The line, the
The
paddle for it? You need the line or the paddle?
line, the paddle, and the ball are the 3 sprites you need for this project.
The paddle and the ball, right?
Yeah, and the line.
What? And the line. Okay.
Okay, so people should be coming back to the main room now. Um, we'll let everybody just come.
All right, we're back.
Okay, Devon, you can share on this. Actually, just there might be some people.
Okay, I'll share on the last things. Looks like someone's playing the game.
Okay, so like we said at the beginning, we are a nonprofit company called Worthy Works. We have STEM courses, activities, coding. We have all these different courses, and we show other kids that they can have fun while they're doing this. I'm Arnav. Devon, you're muted.
I'm Devansh.
Okay. So that is pretty much it. How many of you enjoyed this course over the 3 days? How
Me.
learned something new? Okay. So I hope you guys had lots of fun. Remember, there's going to be a feedback form on Classroom and the WhatsApp group. For you guys to fill out about what you liked, what you might not have liked, what could be better. And otherwise, have a great day. Have fun.
All right, bye guys. We'll see you guys.
Bye, guys.
I have a question. Is
Thanks a
there going
lot.
to be any